Baptist Church. We're glad to have you here with us tonight. Just a few quick announcements before we get started. Our new Bible study Dumb Things Christians Do, is on Wednesday evenings along with our youth, RAs, GAs, and mission friends at 7 p.m. Our back-to-school pool party will be Friday evening at Robbie and Jenny Bowers' home at 6:30 p.m. Bring a towel. We need someone to serve as our church historian. If you would be interested, please see Barry Cato or Reverend Sam Kennington. If you don't know what the church historian does, you can see Barry Cato or Sam Kennington, and they'll tell you, and then you can tell them if you're interested or not. The concert of prayer will be Sunday at Kershaw Second Baptist Church at 6 p.m. Deacons meeting will be Monday, August the 14th at 7 p.m. in the conference room downstairs. Operation Christmas Child donations needed are shirts for all ages, school supplies, and monetary donations for shipping. The barbecue and chicken bog fundraiser for the family of Denise Morgan will be Saturday, August the 19th at the Rich Hill Community Center from 11 a.m. until. If you're willing to provide a dessert, a bowl of potato salad, or slaw, please contact Sandra Whitaker. And if you need her number, you can call the church office and get it. Donations are needed by 5 p.m. on Friday, August the 18th. Youth Brotherhood will be Saturday, August the 26th at the Hyde Park Ball Field at 5:30 p.m. Please see Braxton Rollison for more details. The Brotherhood-sponsored church-wide breakfast will be Sunday, August the 27th at the Memorial Center at 8:30 a.m. And finally, Awana Kickoff will be Sunday, August the 27th at the Memorial Center at 4 p.m. Registration forms are on the table in the vestibule and the table in the downstairs hallway, so you can go ahead and register your child for Awana Kickoff. Any other announcements before we get started this evening? All right, well, please stand and join with us as we start off in worshiping together.
Love's like a hurricane, I am a tree, bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware, these afflictions eclipsed by glory, I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for
Y'all waiting on me? Okay. Hello, anybody out there? Okay. It's good to see all of you tonight. How are you? Good. You good, Mike? All right. You sure? Y'all sure you're all right? Okay. Making sure. I'm good. Thank you for asking. All right, we got some prayer requests tonight. One's very urgent. Please remember Amy Starnes. She was in a regular room. They moved her to ICU last night, and then they moved her again today back to room 430. But I got Chris, her son-in-law, text me and said that they're going to move her. Well, they moved her to 430. Hoping by in the morning they'll get her situated to send her home, and she will be going home on hospice. She's not calling it hospice, they said, but that's what it is. So, y'all please be in prayer for them and Lewis, and you know it's been a terrible thing to see, and just be with that family and think about them as they go through this process. Jimmy Adams is on here today added, Nancy McGuire, Mike Mungo, and surgery is going to be 9/11, right? 9/11, he's going to have surgery on the other knee. Do we have any in Hyde Park in our church that we need to lift up tonight? Okay. Deacon of the week is Mike Mungo, so if you need anything, please call him. Concerns outside of our church, we got Margaret Beecham, Martha Bryant, Jasmine Coates, Odie Dick, Donna Hercheck, Perry Schwartz, Jack Snipes, Joanne Terry, Johnny Wallace, and Dale Wood. Is there anybody else needs to be added to that? Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, I'm sorry, Ms. Joan. I didn't see.
Dale is safely back in China. I guess he had an ordeal getting there. I haven't gotten all the details, but he's there. Freddie, my son-in-law, the one that had the heart transplant, you know, he was in an accident with his sister a couple months ago coming back from Duke. He's still doing physical therapy for that. The other day, somebody back-ended him, and
Golly.
so he went to the doctors, and the doctor said he's got neck problems, and he's going to have terrible headaches. And it was a young kid. It was his fault. He backed right into Freddie. But Freddie's not supposed to be under a lot of stress, you know, with his heart and everything. So it just seems like there's been one thing right after another. So I appreciate your prayers for my family.
Okay. Anybody else? Y'all continue to pray for Beth as she moves forward as our family life minister and all the stuff that goes with that. It's not an easy task, I know for sure, but I know she can handle it. So y'all be praying for her, and the student committee is working hard to get stuff done. The COC is working hard. Personnel is working hard to get everything straight before the new church year. And y'all be in prayer for all those committees. And I tell you, I've been really impressed with them, all of them. They're working hard, and they want what's right, and they're praying. What's right is actually God's will, and that's what they want. So please be in prayer for them, and don't start running if one of them comes up to you to ask you to do something. All right. Anybody else? All right. Doug, would you mind praying for us tonight?
Heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord, for this relevant day that you have provided for us, for this opportunity to come into your house, and this opportunity to freely call your name in prayer. Lord, there have been a lot of requests that have been brought forward here tonight. We pray, Lord, for each and every one. Lord, we pray especially now for Amy and their family as they go through this difficult time. Just be with them, Lord, and look over and take care of them. Lord, for all the other prayer requests that have been mentioned, Lord, just be with them. Lord, we do pray for our church leadership and our committees as they're working to form the new church year and the new calendar and the new leaders of this church. said, somebody comes and approaches you about taking the responsibility, please consider prayer for them. Lord, thank you again for your grace and your mercy. There are many blessings in Jesus' name.
Amen. All right. I got you some tough questions tonight. I didn't look on the internet either. I know that's what y'all doing. You're trying to find where I'm getting my questions at, so I just did them all myself. So, come on, y'all. Y'all smile a little bit tonight. Boy, I'll tell you what. Y'all had a rough week? Y'all had a rough week? Have you? Mike said yeah. Has everybody had a rough week? Say yeah. Doggone. Maybe we need to just have prayer service. But see, I can't do that because I told y'all Sunday that trick. Did y'all hear that trick I told you? The preacher comes in on Wednesday night and says, hey, let's have a prayer meeting. He didn't study. So I ain't doing it, so never mind. All right. Y'all ready? I hope you brought your teeth because I think there's some peanut M&Ms in here. You got your teeth in? All right. Where did Jesus and the disciples go after the Last Supper? Do you know the name of the garden? Yeah. Oh, that was bad. I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you two because you said the garden. And yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what. I was doing this. Okay. There's actually three names given in the Bible. One was the garden. One was the Garden of Gethsemane. Did anybody know the other one? Bonus. I'll give you a hint. When Jesus comes back, he's going to step on this place. It's going to crack into two. It's a mount. Nope. Huh? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. What'd you say? Mount of Olives. Very good. All right. What was the room called where they had the Last Supper? Doug? The upper room. I'm going to quit throwing it. I'm going to hurt somebody, get in trouble. All right. What did Jesus do to the disciples after the Last Supper? Rick, washed their feet. He got Snickers, I think. I'm not showing favoritism. I'm just grabbing what's in here. All right. Who refused to let Jesus wash his feet? Who? No, not Pete. I didn't hear you. Frank said Pete. I wasn't going to give it to you if you said Pete. He said Pete, didn't he?
You can give it to me.
Who in the Bible is named Pete?
I don't know. That's why I said it wasn't right. Bonus. What was, I'm about to say it. What was Peter's other name? Raise your hand. Suzanne. Simon. Bonus. What does Peter mean? No, say it. Raise your hand. Rock. All right. I give you all kind of bonus stuff tonight, y'all. All right. It's getting a little bit harder. Maybe. Not really, but finish this verse. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in blank. Miss Joan. Me. You're welcome. All right. Jesus said, if you love me, keep my what? You better got that. I say that all the time, man. Oh, denied. She does this. Remember how what's his face she did in basketball? All right. Who was Jesus speaking to when he said, most assuredly I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God? Nicodemus. Oh, Nick. Golly. All right. What did the Lord God call out to Adam right after they had eaten the fruit? No. Close, but I'm not going to give it to you. Nope. Some of the saddest words ever spoken in the Bible. Nope. 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 Somebody raise your hand. He's close, but he's not there. I want exactly what the Lord said. Sad. No. It's 3 words. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Where are you? He didn't say, where are you hiding? Where are you? All right. Here you go. I like this one. I'm pretty proud of myself on this one. What book, chapter, and verse did I preach from Sunday? Nope. Nope. For what? All right, she's got 1 Corinthians chapter 4. What verses did I preach out of? Nope. Yep. See how well y'all listen? 1 Corinthians 4, 1 through 5. So where am I going to be this Sunday? 13. She's cheating. All right. Where am I at? Okay, this is getting even harder, y'all. Which church in the book of Revelation, it's Revelation, by the way, not Revelations. Which church in the book of Revelation was the lukewarm church? No, sir. No. Ma'am? No, ma'am. We hear this all the time, lukewarm church, right? Lukewarm, lukewarm. But we don't know what church he's talking to, or Jesus was talking to. Can anybody name me one of the 7 churches? Hey! Hey, she's a church. That's between her and God. Laodicea. Yep. All right. Which church was called the dead church? Yeah, right. Come on, think. There's some churches around here called this, but not in this town, I don't think. No. I wouldn't call, who would want to call a church, I was about to say the name. But some do. Some call it church, call it Corinth too. All right, somebody look it up. Raise your hand, though. I ain't calling you. Sardis. Man, she's quicker than all y'all. All right, which church was called the Faithful Church? I'm stumping y'all with these tonight. Told you, yeah. No, Corinth was not one of the 7 churches. No. Nope. I'll give you a hint. This church is named, there's also a city in the United States named by the same name of this church. Philadelphia.
What is the answer?
Philadelphia. All right. All right, last one. What was the subtitle of last week's Bible study? Y'all didn't think y'all was going to be graded on last week? Yes.
Bride, slinging mud on the bride.
Close enough. Slinging mud on the bride of Christ. Very good. All right, here we go. Dumb things Christians do this week. This might be on the quiz next week. Winning people to the church rather than to the Lord. That's the number 2 thing that we do as Christians, the dumb things that we do. Hey, you ever wonder why people drop out of church? We've talked about that, right? We talked about that a lot. We talked about that a lot even before this one. Why are there reasons why people drop out of church? Last week, what were some things we talked about? Anybody remember? We talked a little bit about that last week, why people drop out of church.
People go from church to church to church.
Yeah, church jumpers. It's easy for me to say, right?
Somebody's hurt their feelings.
Somebody hurt their feelings. What other things?
They don't like the music.
Don't like the music, don't like the preacher, don't like the people running the sound, or they don't, whatever. I mean, there's all kind of reasons why people do what they do. But this week is a little bit more particular reason. And it's also, it shows badly on the church and believers, this one does. Because this one actually is some things that we actually do that aren't right. Or one specific thing that we do that keeps people away, and it's something that we really need to correct. I mean, I don't think we really do it here. We all do it as Christians, but this week it's a little bit different. What if I ask y'all tell me, or somebody asks you, how large of a congregation would you say that we have here? I'm talking about number-wise. Anybody want to take a guess at how large our congregation is? Our whole roll. How many of you think members are? Anybody else? I don't even know a specific number. I don't know. I think it's over 400. I think it's over 400. Or it's in the high 300s. How many do we actually have on Sunday mornings? 100 what? Did you hear what she said?
116.
You look at last week. Anywhere from 100 to 125, depending on Christmas or Easter, we get a little bit more, but we probably average between that, 100 and 115, somewhere around there. Some of those people left for good reasons. Some people have been on our roll forever and go to other churches and never became members somewhere else. I really don't know why, but I don't know if we just didn't get the letter sent or whatever. They didn't ask for the letter and never joined another church. But there's a lot of people on our roll. They're still members here, and they've been gone for a very long time. Some of them I've never met, never even heard of. But, sometimes people leave for good reasons, sometimes they don't. Some were not true believers. Some got mad. Some got bored. Some didn't like certain people. Some were actually called away to somewhere else by the Lord, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that at all. When somebody tells me, if you see somebody and they say, why are you not at church? And they say, well, I'm at so-and-so now because God called me there to do something. I don't have a problem with that. Do y'all? No. That should be the reason why we leave, or either death. It should be those two reasons. I mean, honestly. If you commit to a place, God's put you there for a reason. He's either going to move you into, away from because of death, or you move away, you move out of town, something like that. A really good reason why you leave. We should never leave for petty reasons and our own selfishness. What if we put out an ad about our church and we're totally honest about it? I know what you're thinking. What do you mean? Well, what if we told them something like this? There's a 50-50 chance you will survive your first year at our church, but we would love for you to give us a try anyway. Because that's how many people usually leave in the first year. You think that's something that you tell people and won't make them come back? There's a good chance you'll be gone in less than a year. Right? Or you say, our church is great. Just ask the 40% of our members who haven't left yet. But is that not true? By what I told you earlier about the roll and by the people who attend? Is that not a true statement that we tell somebody? Isn't it? Why don't we tell people that? You don't think they'll come? That's one of them dumb things. But you get the idea, right? You get the idea if we're really, truly honest and we really talk about the things that actually go on in it, not just Hyde Park. Every church is like, y'all know that. Don't think that we're the only church that's got a big role and don't have everybody here on Sunday. We're not. I'd say every church is like that, and there's a reason why. Sometimes there's good reasons, sometimes there's not. I try not to be one of those guys, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and somebody would have stayed. It's like a dog chasing his tail. We don't know what would happen if certain people would have stayed here and what it would look like and all those things. We can't do that. Does everybody in here, raise your hand if you believe that God is totally sovereign? Means He's in control of all things. So if that happened, then whose plan was it? Regardless of how they did it, it was God's plan for whoever's here tonight, supposed to be here tonight. Whoever is a member of this church is a member of this church. We believe that, right? So God's going to do what He wants, and sometimes we don't have the answer, and we just have to live with it. But there are certain problems. What's the problem that we're going to talk about tonight?
We still have free choice, too.
We had free choice? Yeah. Some people won't believe that. You believe that? I ain't going to get into all that tonight. You're about to take me down a rabbit hole. I know you didn't. But anyway, there are certain problems, and there's a reason why people do leave. There will always be defectors. We don't have to worry or fret every time this happens, though. Jesus' ministry, if you looked at it from the outside, the world looked at His ministry. You look through the Gospels, very beginning, I mean, he had all these people coming, and by the end, how many people were actually there at the cross with Him? I mean, only the women had guts to stay there besides John. Only the women had guts to be there at the cross with Him. All of them left Him. All these people, all these hordes of people that came and He fed and did all these miracles and all these things. If you would have looked at His ministry at that time, you thought He's a great failure. I mean, He's on a cross, right? He's dying on a cross. But that's why people walked away. When you're popular, it's easy for people to like you. When other people like you, it's easy for a lot of people to like somebody. But once those kind of things happen, it gets hard, and He starts teaching hard things, people naturally will walk away. They will naturally walk away. Because it's not for a human heart to want to hear truth. The human heart does not want to hear anything that goes against its flesh. It just doesn't. It takes the Lord to break through that barrier. It takes the Holy Spirit to break through to somebody's heart. And so people leave all the time. Does it mean that we don't try to get them back or we don't talk to them? No, it doesn't mean that at all. I mean, sometimes things can be corrected. Remember we talked about that last week. You will never find out the problem you have or solve the problem you have with a person unless you go to that person. Right? Right? You can't do it by talking. If Mike has a problem with me and goes to Miss Joan, is it going to get resolved? No. Probably not, unless Miss Joan comes to me and then I go back to him, and it makes all this problem even bigger because you're trying to figure out why Mike's mad at me, right? So we need to go to people whenever we have a problem and don't leave because of that. Some will always leave and some will do it for not so good reasons, but sometimes we are to blame.
Sam?
Yes.
I really don't think, though, that we follow up the way we should on people that leave. As I've heard a number of people say, I left and I didn't get a call for 6 months. Nobody cared. Nobody called me. Nobody got in touch with me at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the reason, there's various reasons why they left, but nobody cared enough. And I think we fall short on that.
What should we do, Miss Joan?
Well, I think we need to follow up on that. I think we need
Who needs to follow up?
the whole church.
Okay. Good answer. All of us. And we should.
It's not just the pastor's job.
That's right. All of us should. And there's times that people fall through the cracks sometimes. They really do. And I don't think nobody intentionally ever does that, but sometimes we just don't. Sometimes, like you say, we see them somewhere else and we talk to them and they say, well, nobody cares. There's two ways of looking at that. They may be right. They may be right. But sometimes, at least I think, maybe I'm wrong, sometimes I think, well, wouldn't it have been easier just to come back and say that to us? Am I wrong?
Not always.
Not always?
And sometimes the feelings are so hurt that they don't want to do that, and they're waiting for someone to reach out from the church.
Somebody want to chime in on that one? As the church, what should we do? How can we do that better? How can we reach out to somebody who's not there or hasn't come? How should we attack that? Okay. Right.
If they don't want to come back, they'll say so, but I mean, at least you've
Right.
reached out, you've done.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all.
The problem, you know, and it
Yeah.
might be that that's all they need to, is just to have someone concerned and care about them.
I mean, I've had people ask me about, some people that hadn't been in a long time, and they say, have you reached out to them? And sometimes I had. Sometimes I hadn't because I didn't. I don't know the reason. Maybe I didn't realize that they hadn't been here. I don't know. But a lot of times I'll do that, and they don't even text me back. They won't even talk to me. That's not right,
But you've done what you could.
Right, done what I could. That's one of the things I hope that we work on. That's one thing that maybe the deacons can do, that we can do better with, and we're going to get better with that. But, yeah, we need to do it, Michelle. I agree with you. Anybody have anything else on that? All right. We are responsible for much of the disillusion that people feel. We can mislead people into thinking that the church would be an answer to all their problems, that it would save them, transform their life, and meet all their needs. What are we doing when we say stuff like that? If you come to church, your life's going to get better. Is that a true statement? It gets hard. But we do that sometimes, don't we? Right? Is it? Yeah, if you just and see, I'm guilty of it too. When I say things like, your commitment to church matters, be at church on Sunday, I'm not telling you those things because church is going to save you or even make you better. I'm saying those things because first, God commanded us to come together as a church to learn, right? To be discipled, to learn how to evangelize, all those things. That's the reason why we should come to church. Because it's all about who. It's not about this place. It's not even about you and me. What is all this about? The Lord. And see, sometimes we forget that, and we want people to come to church believing, and they think to themselves, we invite people to church, nothing wrong with that. But when we do those things, we have to make sure to tell them that this place is full of imperfect people. This place, for that reason, like you just said, if there's a certain person that somebody hasn't reached out to, we failed them. But they've got to understand that their faith's not in us. Their faith's in Christ. We're going to mess up. I'm going to let you down at some point. You're going to let me down at some point. That's just the way life goes. But so many people come to church and join the church, and they think their life is going to get better because they've been told that. And they hadn't been told, hey, being a disciple is tough. It's tough. The world might hate you. You might lose friends. You might lose family members. We don't say that. You remember I talked about telling the truth a while ago? When we do, not necessarily here, but you see people all the time go to crusades and all these things, and they hear about the gospel, and that is great. But they never hear the other side of it when Jesus says something like, hey, you're going to pick up a cross and follow me. Hey, you're going to suffer the same things that I did. I'm talking about it this week where Paul talks about how the apostles have been beaten and they're poor and they're starving and they have nothing to drink. They have nowhere to live. That's not a real good way to get people to follow somebody, right? But that's the truth. Those things can happen being a follower of Christ. And a lot of times we mess up by telling people, hey, you come to church, it's going to transform your life, and it's not the church that transforms your life. It's Christ, right? You tell them there's conflict here. There's going to be negativity. Sometimes there's lack of faith. Sometimes there's poor attitudes. There's lack of commitment and loyalty. That's just the truth about the way the church is. But is that not the same way that everything else in life is? Could you not say the same thing about your work? Yeah, right? Tell people all the time, when I was working in the secular world, and you hear that same old excuse, I don't go to church because of the hypocrites. I said, you telling me there's not hypocrites at this job? Well, yeah. Well, why do you come to work? Well, I got to work. I got to get paid. If you're a Christian, you got to go, and you got to go to church because we're commanded and you're supposed to. If you're a Christian, you need to be in church as much as you need to be at a job to make money to supply for your family. That's just the truth. What did Jesus say? We're fed by what? Living water and bread. He's the bread of life. By Him. We're fed by Him. So when a Christian or somebody who tells me they're a Christian says, I don't go to church because of all the hypocrites, dude, you're one of them. And sometimes we just have to get over it. Sometimes we just have to look past ourselves. Sometimes we have to look past somebody who's acting like a child. Right? Am I right? I'm sure everybody in here could tell me something that's happened to them in church where somebody didn't speak to them or somebody said something and looked at them the wrong way. Right? Everybody? Has everybody experienced something negative in church at some point in their life? You're still here. You're still here. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of people sometimes look for excuses, but the truth is a lot of times we don't tell them exactly what it means to be a Christian. It's hard. People don't want to hear things like, you got to give up your whole life to follow Christ. He is your master at that point. He is the one who dictates what happens in your life, not you anymore. And people don't like to hear that. Last week we talked about bragging on your church, and that's a good thing, but it has to be realistic bragging. We cannot make it sound like because we have loving people here, we might have a good children's ministry, etc., whatever you think that we do well, that's not going to solve all your problems. You're still going to have problems. It's great to talk about the wonderful fellowship we have, but remember what I told you Sunday. I told you that we had a great night of fellowship out there, and we played that game, and I busted my foot up, and everybody had a good time. Right? And it was a great time. Don't get me wrong. But if that doesn't translate out here, or into our life where it changes our life for Christ, and if it don't translate in us having the same desire and hunger to go eat hamburgers and hot dogs and play a game to witness to people and be discipled, then that will get us nowhere. It will get us nowhere. But if somebody visits us and they see all this fun stuff that we do and they say, oh, that's a great thing, and it's nothing wrong with that. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. That's part of fellowship. But that fellowship should grow into something bigger, a desire to follow Christ even more. That's what we are striving for, not just the fact that we just get together and eat a hamburger and hot dog. The point of us having those kind of fellowships is to love each other so much that I'm not going to let you down. And I surely don't want to let Christ down. That is the purpose behind it. We can lose focus when we do things like that. I don't think we have, but we can. That's the danger. That's what Satan wants to do. He sees these kind of things happen and say, man, and people getting kind of close, they kind of, they enjoying each other's company and they loving the fellowship. That could turn into something bad for us. I'm talking about Satan, right? They could really start loving each other to the point that they love people outside the walls and they want to get people saved. He wants nothing more than to stop that. I just want us to make sure that we're focused on what it really is, the cross and Christ, always. Anybody got anything to add to that? Do y'all agree with me? Okay. Never forget where all good things come from. Never forget where our power comes from. Jesus is the one, and we should be pointing people to Him. Hebrews 12:2 says, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before Him endured the cross, despising the shame, at the right hand of the throne of God. We never lose focus on who our author and finisher of our faith is, ever. I like that where it says author and finisher. What does that mean? He is the finisher of our faith. What can that mean? Final say. Okay. It's finished.
He's building us in our Christian minds until we get that point where we're finished. That's probably what I didn't help. I'll be finished.
You be finished. There's nothing worse than see somebody take some land, right? bulldoze all of the wood off, the trees and the wood off of it, and come in and put dirt there and do all this stuff, and they put some kind of foundation, or they put a shell or something there, and then they stop. Is that not a waste? It's just a waste, right? You start something like that, and people start talking and say, what's that going to be? And if somebody says, what are they building over there beside Domino's? And I always say Outback, because I try to get that started. But they never build an Outback, but I'm going to keep saying it. They build an Outback. You hear that, Jennifer? Over there beside Domino's. But what if they just went and cleared it all off, and they started on it, and they just didn't finish? It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. That's what you think. What a waste. But see, that's not the way Christ works with us. He didn't bring you to the point of salvation and just leave you there. He's going to finish it. Like Doug said, all the way to the end, to the culmination of when you go to heaven, it'll be perfection then. And so we can believe that, and we can trust that. That makes me feel good, y'all. That He's not going to leave us where we're at. We never lose focus on our author. I want to read something to you out of the book. Let's see. All right, this is a quote out of the book. And he's talking about, I think he's talking about a personal testimony he was watching on TV on a late night infomercial, and it says this: I can't believe how much my life has changed since I started going to church. For years, I had the idea that church was boring, but boy, was I wrong. I've learned so much from our pastor, and I've made some wonderful new friends. Everybody who knows me says I changed dramatically. All I know is I am much happier than I've ever been in my life. I wish I had gone to church a long time ago. Won't you come and go with me? What is wrong with that statement? They didn't say nothing about salvation, did they? They say nothing about Jesus. Now, all those things are good. That paragraph in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with it, but then there should be a paragraph before that that says, Jesus did this in my life. Jesus did this. Jesus brought me to this church where He's using me for His glory. That's the way it should be said. But see, we do things like that. I do things like that. Sometimes I brag on y'all so much, and I say, you need to come to Hyde Park, we're a loving church. I do the very same things. And we think, why would somebody say that? We do it all the time. I do it all the time. I say we. I don't know if you do it or not, but I tell people you need to come here because it's a great bunch of people they love it, and I give y'all the praise of everything, right? Of how good we are. But if I don't say they love the Lord, this is what the Lord's doing through these people, then our focus is all jacked up. And when hard times come, when things don't go the way they think, and they're not mature Christians, what do you think they're going to do when that happens? They're going to leave and go to that place who makes them feel good. It's kind of like a relationship, You start a relationship, usually, hopefully, in the beginning, it's really good, right? You get to know somebody, well, it's friend or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. You get to know somebody, you like them, you like talking to them, you grow, and you get to know each other better. And then as time goes on, you start finding out quirks about people. You start finding out that people aren't perfect. Then you make that decision at some point in that relationship, I'm going to continue with their friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, or I'm going to decide I'm going to bail because I can't deal with this. It's exactly what we do in church because we give them a false hope of where their hope comes from. It's tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, right? So in and of itself, a lot of that was nothing wrong with it. They just didn't go far.